H.G. Wells' Food of the Gods from 1976, directed by Bert I. is ostensibly a movie about big things, a movie about very big things, and perhaps that's why I related to this movie as a kid, was fascinated by this movie as a kid, because after all, here in Australia, we're used to very big things. Not only big things like the big prawn, or the big merino, or the big banana located in Coffs Harbour, but naturally we have some of the biggest, meanest sharks and crocodiles to counter some of the smallest, most deadly beasties here in Australia. So plenty of big things here down under. So maybe that was why this movie appealed to me so much as a kid. So the premise of Food of the Gods, you have this footy player, you have his coach, and you have their manager, and they're going on a hunting trip on an island, a tiny island off the coast of, apparently off the coast of British Columbia in Canada, and they're intending to hunt and persecute and blow the piss out of the local white-tailed deer population, or at least some kind of deer population, and they've got hunting dogs and shotguns and all that fun stuff. So they're on this hunting trip on the island, and they're separated. The coach basically chases a fleeing deer that may or may not be Bambi, and chases it off into the woods, and happens upon a wasp of all things that seems to be about the same size as a pelican, or something like that. A huge little beastie, and it stings him, and he basically swells up to about roughly the size of NRL coach Phil Gould, for you NRL fans. And unfortunately, he expires from the wasp sting, and his friends, our star quarterback Morgan, and the coach, and not the coach is dead, the manager, sadly have to take his bloated body back to the mainland for an autopsy. So they haven't seen the wasp, of course. They don't know what killed him. But when the toxicology report comes back, it isn't great news. Apparently, he has the equivalent of about 1,000 wasp stings. And basically, it doesn't make any sense, because they saw nary a single wasp, let alone the wasp that was the size of a pelican. So needless to say, they're not satisfied with the official report. They decide to go back to the island, do a bit more sticky beaking, and they find that, in fact, there's something on the island making everything grow to enormous proportions. Basically, this old farming couple, an old guy and his wife, played by Ida Lupino, who was a sex symbol, a screen siren, decades before this movie was made. They've had this cold, white, porridge-like substance bubbling up on their farm, something that they've dubbed the Food of the Gods, and with nothing better to do with it, they started feeding it to their chickens, and the chickens grew to the size of ostriches or elephants or something like that. Very big, dangerous poultry, to say the least. And not only the chickens have gotten into the Food of the Gods, but also the local wildlife, including the wasps, and perhaps most concerningly, the local rat population. So you can see where this is going. Basically, our heroes, our star quarterback and his unscrupulous manager, stuck on this island with an unscrupulous big pharmaceutical company guy who's determined to harness the power of the Food of the Gods for wealth and power, of course, all the usual motivations. And basically they're forced into a situation where they're under siege from all of the giant rats in the movie, in a Night of the Living Dead or a Assault on Precinct 13 type situation, but with rats, and with rats in forced perspective or rear projection. So this one was made by Bert I. Gordon, who also brought us The Amazing Colossal Man and Empire of the Ants, but for my money, Food of the Gods was his finest hour, or his finest hour and a half, as all good movies should be. And it's a very cool movie. There's so much to like about it. I did see this one on late night television as a kid for the first time, and it's been a sentimental favourite ever since. The forced perspective and the rear projection, and even the large rat or chicken props do cop a bit of flack from fans or ironic fans of this movie, but they really were quite impressive for the time. They're still a lot of fun today. They basically do the job. Everything's done judiciously. You can be a bit too cynical and say that clearly these are rats climbing all over a dollhouse, if you want to be really mean-spirited. But for me, it makes this movie a hell of a lot of fun, makes it a sentimental favourite, and something that I revisit quite regularly, at least every few years or so. So it has all the obligatory characters you'd expect in a movie like this. You've got your heroic quarterback, Morgan, and Morgan has some funny mannerisms. Whenever things are highly stressful, he seems like the most laid-back person in the world. And whenever things are relaxed, he seems like the most highly stressed person in the world. So it's almost like he doesn't really quite know what his motivation is, but that all makes the movie more charming. His manager's really just there almost under duress. He just wants to get the hell out of there, of course. But Morgan's determined to get to the bottom of the entire mystery of the Food of the Gods. And then we have the evil, I guess you'd call him he's not so much a big pharmaceutical guy, he's more a big stock feed guy, I guess you'd say. And he's trying to harness and synthesize this stuff to garner wealth and power, of course, although he pretends to that he's doing it for humanitarian reasons, like solving world hunger, which is always the old chestnut. And then we have Ida Lupino, of course, who's she's quite an interesting character in this one. She sort of feigns innocence, but in her own way, she's just as manipulative and just as exploitative as everyone else. She's trying to get rich quick with the titular Food of the Gods. So there's not a great deal else to say about this movie. It's very sentimental. It's a hell of a lot of fun. It's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. You do need to check your, check your cynicism at the door, check your sense of disbelief at the door, and go into this one with basically the mind of a 7-year-old, and then you'll have a great time with it, as I did when I was a kid, and as I still do today when I revisit this movie while reminiscing about simpler times when life was all about staying up late on a Friday night and catching movies like this and Empire of the Ants, which should be advertised all week long on network television in the good old days before television became something unrecognisable to those of us that grew up in the time when television did have some sense of decorum. So Food of the Gods is relatively easy to track down if you haven't seen it. It's available on various streaming services, of course, and on physical media. I'd also advise, if you enjoy this movie, checking out Deadly Eyes, which is another great Canadian movie that features killer rats and would make a great double bill with H.G. Wells' Food of the Gods. And also, if you're a fan of Bert I. Gordon's giant creature features, I'd also highly recommend Empire of the Ants, another favourite from my youth, and another one of those movies that I caught on late night television, and another one that I do revisit quite regularly from time to time. So that's about all I have on Food of the Gods. If you have any memories of Food of the Gods, anything important that I've missed, let us know in the comments. Otherwise, as always, do a brother a favour and like, share and subscribe. And I'm off before the giant killer rats come to get me in the darkness. And that's all I have. So enjoy your evening, or enjoy your morning, your afternoon, whenever you might be watching, and take it easy.